What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved, and welcome to my podcast. If you could be so kind, scroll up on your Apple Podcast app or whichever app you're using, if they allow you to leave a review, and hit the subscribe button and leave me some kind words in the review section. That would be a huge help for me, and that's the best thing you could do for me. Doesn't cost you a dime, costs you about 2 minutes of your time. Leave me a couple nice words. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, keep it moving. I do want to thank Turner Dairy Farms for sponsoring I'll Call You Right Back podcast. It is a privilege, as always, week in and week out, to be able to say that I get to work with Turner Dairy Farms. They are the creators of all the delicious limited edition flavored milks. I think that if you are lucky, if you sell your soul to the devil, you could probably find one last pint of the cookie and cream milk in your local bodega. If not, if they have no more of that, slide on over to the right a little bit and grab yourself an ice cold thug jug of the Turner's Premium Iced Tea. Because there ain't nothing better in the world than a Turner's Premium Tea. You know, they got all different kinds, different flavors. They got a diet if you're on the diabetic side. And you could go there and you could try all of them. You know, try all of them. Take a photo on your story, tag the podcast. You know, maybe if you're lucky, I'll send you some stickers. But I appreciate it as usual, and make sure that you go grab yourself some Turners. A couple other things I wanted to talk to before we get to the episode. I have been watching The Haunting of Bly Manor. I've talked about it on here a few times. I've been seeing a lot of negative reviews online for it, and I just do not understand where the negativity is coming from, because I think it's pretty damn good, you know? I have been continuing the scary movie shit through the last week. You know, I've been just watching a lot of scary movies. So on Sunday, I watched Children of the Corn, which was one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. The first 5 minutes of the movie, you're like, this is going to be absolutely awesome. And then it just goes downhill. And, you know, I guess in 1984, people might be scared of, you know, little Muppets, little ragamuffin ginger kids that probably about 4 foot tall, skin and bones. They probably stink. You know, I just did not get the story behind it. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, if you love Children of the Corn, I would love for you to DM me and let me know why you loved it, because I thought it was trash. I did watch Fright Night, though. Fright Night is a movie about a kid who has a vampire move in next to him, and all kinds of crazy shit happens throughout the movie. It's very campy. I love it. It was fantastic. It was the first time I ever seen it. I want to say it was from 85 or 86. I can't remember, but I liked it so much, like the effects in it, you know, it was a fun movie. I liked it so much, I watched the remake with my wife. The remake came out, I mean, it had to come out maybe 5 years ago, but it's with Colin Farrell and Antoine Yelkin, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, and Toni Collette. And it was great too. I really, really enjoyed it. It's just a fun movie. It's a cool idea. You know, I love vampires. And I thought it was just like, it's worth it. That's the moral of the story, is it's worth it to watch Fright Night, and it's worth it to watch the remake. I love horror movies, though. If you got a good one, you know, if you have a favorite horror movie, slide into the DMs and let me know which ones it is, because, you know, I haven't seen everything. I love movies, but, you know, I haven't seen everything. For instance, Fright Night. So I dove into that, and, you know, I've just been trying to check them off my list. So, another thing I wanted to talk about. Me and my wife are moving. You know, I know. I'm on the podcast. If you listen to the podcast and you're in the Pittsburgh area and you're looking for a nice apartment to rent, just slide in the DMs and I will give you more information. I'm not going to like bring it up on here all the time, but hey, who knows? Going to try it out, right? But the reason that everyone is here this week, I have a great guest. His name is Spencer Dillman, and he's a jack of all trades whenever it comes to the haunted house industry. So Spencer is currently the I guess the actor manager at 100 Acres Manor. And if you're from Pittsburgh and you like Halloween, I'm sure you've heard of 100 Acres Manor. It is, one of the big dogs whenever it comes to haunted houses. And unfortunately, they are not open this year. Due to COVID and all this bullshit, they were not successfully, they did not, they couldn't, for the goodness of their heart, open because they wanted to put out a better product than would have been possible, which is absolutely respectable. You cannot hate on anyone for that. And I think that this episode was fantastic. I love haunted houses, so it's awesome to hear about all the behind the scenes shit. And Spencer has been working at 100 Acres for, almost damn near a decade. So he started as just a regular volunteer scare actor, and then he moved his way up to working as one of the main special effects makeup guys, and then he is now the actor manager, which basically he handles all the people that are scaring you at 100 Acres. And it was just cool to hear the thought process that goes into a haunted house, how to change it up every year, how they're building sets, what they're using, how they kind of manage a horde of volunteer kids. Because mainly, they're mainly kids. Like I talk about it in the episode. I volunteered there in high school, and it's just interesting. He brings up very, very good points that I feel like a lot of people don't think of, and talking to him kind of makes me check myself whenever I whenever I'm thinking about one thing. Like, for instance, I feel like, it's pretty blatant to anyone that the biggest complaint about haunted houses are, you walk through haunted houses and they pack people in there and you can't get a full scare because there's groups and you pretty much just see what's coming. So I talked to Spencer about that. I talked to Spencer about what they do for auditions for scare actors, what they do for the maintenance, because if you got someone that's just there screaming their head off every 2 seconds for 6 hours, you're obviously going to have to, deal with your voice. And it was just really, really cool to hear about how all this shit is taken care of. And I thought it was a great episode. So I'm going to quit talking your ears off. I urge you, if you are a haunted house fan and, they're great people. I've been to this haunted house probably every year for the past decade. And I think that it really is, it's fantastic. And you could tell that 100 Acres puts a lot of time and effort into what they do. And that's why that they've became such a well-known name. And obviously you can't go this year, but I urge you to just make sure you go next year. We got to support these people if we want to keep great haunted houses in Pittsburgh. So without further ado, episode 138 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Spencer Dillman of 100 Acres Manor Haunted House.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. Very critical about the sound.
Okay.
I'm critical enough that I want it to be a good quality podcast, but I don't want it to
minor things are not going to drive you crazy though.
Yeah, I'll do it outside sometimes. I've done episodes outside and it sounds cool, with you can hear birds and shit. It's during all the COVID stuff, I didn't know what I was going to do, so I didn't want to have down weeks. So I was like, what the fuck am I going to do while everyone is not able to come over? And I didn't want to just be bringing random people into my house.
Right.
Because I didn't know if it was going to transform into 28 Days Later shit or something.
No, right.
So we were me and Antoinette were sitting there and we were I was I don't know what I'm going to do with a podcast. So I did just research episodes for a little bit where I would do I did aliens and pyramid schemes and Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So I just would read about shit for a couple hours and then do an hour-long episode just to put out something.
Right.
But I was still putting it all in. And then the first one back, I was like, let's go just meet at the point.
Right.
Dude was real into riding bikes, and I was into riding bikes, so we just rode down there and started recording. And it ended up being all right.
That's cool.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Yes.
What do you listen to?
A lot of true crime.
Yeah.
I just got into Spooked and Scared to Death. If you've ever listened to those. Spooked is like these, like, each episode they showcase like one or two stories, and they're done like as a dramatization, or they have the real person talk about their story.
Oh, wow.
But they put like music and stuff behind it to kind of like build tension. And then Scared to Death. Have you ever listened to My Favorite Murder?
I've listened to like one of them, I think.
That's my favorite podcast ever, just because they're hysterical and they're talking about murder, so why not?
Yeah, they make it fun and light.
Yeah. Scared to Death is what I would equate to that, but it's done with like urban legends and haunted places and stuff like that. And it's a husband and wife duo that are like kind of sharing their stories.
Really?
And it's really cool.
Yeah, I would listen to that. I'm not like, I used to listen to a lot more whenever I would commute all the time, but like, I only drive like a half hour. So I'll listen to like, I have like 4 that I listen to every week. And, I hear everyone always talk, like everyone's into like the murder porn and shit like that. And it's like, I love watching everything on Netflix and everything. And I know that there's so many good podcasts to listen to, and I just need to dive into it.
Right. There's something for everybody. Little pockets.
Are you able to, do you want to talk about what you guys are recording, the show that you guys are recording?
I can if you want.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just curious about it. So like, this is through like the haunted house?
No. So this is done, a friend of mine, he's originally from Pittsburgh. He relocated to right outside of New York City.
Okay.
And he runs a community theater company that the entire entertainment industry, as we all know, has been decimated.
Yeah.
There's no shows happening. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, it's a shame.
A lot of these actors and stuff, like, we're not able to perform in any way, shape, or form unless it's done virtually. And virtual plays and musicals and stuff are just not doing well. Because you can't have the sound engineering and the sets and all the stuff, the visual things that happen can't happen through Zoom.
Yeah.
So what he did was, we were super inspired by like War of the Worlds and audio dramas and stuff like that were these radio plays where you would just listen to it and picture the world for yourself.
Yeah.
So he put together a cast of characters and we're performing this show. It's a 4-part mini series that will be released like days and stuff apart. First episode comes out this Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Ghost Lights. So it takes place at this theater called the Lombroso Theater, and we are in the story, the cast is performing this show, and it's happening during their like final dress rehearsal right before the show opens. Dress rehearsal night, some really eerie stuff starts happening, some tragic stuff happens, and it just kind of goes from there. And it all centers around historical events that happened within theater over the past like 100 years or so.
Oh, that
so he picked
cool.
like little things and then used them to inspire his story.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
How many people are involved?
I think we have, I want to say like 12 to 15 people that are actually like performing in the show.
Yeah.
There's got to be upwards of 20 or something that are involved just with
doing all
like
the rest.
The audio engineering behind it, the coaching, the directing, the writing, everything.
Yeah, that's super cool. I really like, I came into podcasting on like, Joe Rogan, like everyone, like majority of people. And it's like Joe Rogan and comedians is like mainly my thing. But then like I got into like Serial. I loved Serial. And S-Town, and I liked all that. And I felt like S-Town was like probably the closest thing I've ever listened to that was almost like a performance, even though that like a lot of that was true, I guess. But I think that that's a cool idea. That would be something cool to get into.
Yeah, I found another one. It's called Limetown, I think, or maybe
Limetown.
I've heard of one episode. I've listened to the first episode, but it's done as this like investigative report where this girl she found this really interesting story, so she's doing an investigative like podcast about it. Oh. But it's all fiction.
Yeah.
The whole thing's fake, and then they actually turned around and they made it into a TV show.
Really?
I've never watched the TV show though.
Yeah, that's still cool that like that's like, an avenue of podcasting to
it's limitless.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy like how big it's becoming.
Yeah.
It's like before I did one years ago, and like my mother and like my father, they never knew, like they didn't know what podcasting was at all.
Right.
And now my mom she listens to all these and, enjoys it and likes hearing about all these different people that I have on. So she's a big fan.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
October. So like what I do with the podcast, I talk to random people like Zach and, just random people that do cool shit that I've always been interested in. But October, I try to, shift the focus to like, the spooky Halloween type shit. And last year, I had some good ones. I talked to Ricky from Castle
Ricky
Blood.
Dick, I love him.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He's a good buddy of ours.
It was so cool to like go through. I got to go into like the main, not the main room where they like start you in the haunted house, but like the next one that goes right in with the caskets.
Yep.
And we just sat in there and recorded it, and it was just like
their
so cool.
atmosphere is out of control.
Yeah, like I've never been to a haunted house that's like that. A lot of the bigger haunted houses are like more like production, you got like animatronics and shit like that. But I don't know. I feel like whenever you go into Castle Blood, it's like going into the Addams family.
The best way that I've ever heard them described is like when you walk in there, and me, like I was born in 92.
Yeah.
We live on nostalgia because
absolutely.
we're adults now and we're like, man, I wish I was a kid.
100%.
But when I go there, it doesn't matter who I'm with, how old I am, or what time of the year they're open.
Yeah.
I walk in there and I feel like I'm 7 years old on Halloween night. Like
Yes.
I'm ready to trick or treat. I'm wearing this cheesy costume. Like, and they put so much into their show.
Oh, yeah.
Their costuming is out of control.
Yeah, and I mean he makes a lot of the shit himself, so it's
Yeah.
like he's just like so, and like talking to him because like I only knew him as Gravely Macabre, and like it was cool to hear. It was cool to hear like who he was outside of all that, and like kind of how he got into it.
Yeah.
And, like I don't know. He's just a interesting.
He's
dude.
iconic in Pittsburgh for Halloween.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And I feel like, Castle Blood, I feel like is definitely slept on as far as haunted houses.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it is far out kind of in the cut, but like, if people say haunted houses in Pittsburgh, you hear 100 Acres Manor and you hear Scare House.
Right.
You hear both the two big ones. But I will tell people about Castle Blood and they'll be like, no, I never heard of that. And it's like, it's such like a different thing. It's
Right.
like, it's not like you're going there and, expecting to be like, just chased with a chainsaw. In fact, he does not. Yeah, they don't like the chainsaws there. He just it's like a play. It's like you're participating in a play. And I think that that's such like a different level of like immersion.
Yep.
I do like it though. But so you have been involved with 100 Acres for how long?
This would have been, well, I guess I still am involved, even though we're not open. But
Yeah.
this was 8 years.
8 years.
This would have been my 9th season. So I started in 2012.
Now, I mean, how did you even get involved with all this? First of all, wait, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Put a pin in this. I do an opening segment with everyone. It's called What's in the Cup. What's in your cup?
Oh, okay. So I am drinking a Splash Cooler Capri Sun. If you didn't hear me earlier, like,
Yeah, it's like, and I haven't had a Capri Sun in probably like,
I like live off of these things.
I haven't had them in a long time. And this one, they have all kinds of crazy flavors. This is papaya watermelon, and it's really
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really, really good. I was surprised. But anyway, so you got into haunted houses how? Because like you're pretty, I like went through all your social media and I see like all these crazy, makeups that you've done and like you're deep into it.
Right.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
like, how does this even happen?
Okay, so I grew up in South Park. That's where I went to high school, and that's where 100 Acres is located. So they had a program they were volunteer based, probably until I started there.
Yeah, I volunteered there in high school.
Yeah.
Interact.
Yeah. So I was in drama club. I was a huge theater nerd, and I loved Halloween from the time that I was like the smallest kid you could possibly imagine. I remember growing up in Virginia Beach, and my neighbor like built his house into a haunted house, and I was like 3 years old. Like, we're going, right?
Yeah.
Like, please, can I go twice? Maybe? Am I allowed? I don't have to get candy.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I started volunteering there, like to help fundraise for our drama club, and I just was in love with it. But I never could like do it full time as a teenager because I was involved with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So then I got really heavily into special effects through drama club, and I wanted to get more into it and like learn more about it. And a buddy of mine was working there, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to get involved into haunted houses again. Like, are they still taking volunteers? And he was like, oh, you're coming down with me tonight.
Yeah.
And I went down there. It was like in the middle of the summer, and talked with our old creative director. And he was like, yeah, just come and hang out. And they literally have not been able to get rid of me since.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's like I love Halloween absolutely 100%, but it was so much fun to be able to be like in high school. Like we volunteered there for some reason, but I was like, haunted house, I'll definitely do that because I was in Boy Scouts and we ran one in like Coney Island building in downtown McKeesport. It was like sketchy. We were like 14 years old and like we had this like rickety ass setup, but it was just so fun to be like part of that and like kind of be behind the scenes of all that.
Like the adrenaline that comes from it, like being like, when you're 14, you just have so much energy to get rid of anyway.
Yeah, you're just running around like an idiot, just yelling at people.
And so when we have all of our volunteers come down, I'm like severely impressed by them half the time. I'm like, damn, I remember when I was your age, I could do that, and you are doing twice as much as what we could do. So it's awesome to see.
Now you got in. How did you get into Halloween? What was your initiation to it?
Honestly, it just was there. I know that's not like, I don't really remember ever like not being interested in Halloween. Like most kids carry around like a teddy bear or some type of stuffed animal or a blankie or something like that. Yeah. I no joke, carried around at like 3 years old this like action figure Barbie doll looking thing that it was the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. And my mom like never thought anything was wrong with me. She was just like, I don't know, he's just into weird stuff. He likes spooky stuff. I remember watching The Nightmare Before Christmas like over and over and over again.
Yeah, that was on a rotation for sure. And like Beetlejuice and like, Gremlins.
Yep.
And I feel like movies like that.
I watched Child's Play at like 4 or 5 years old.
It's like
just not being
like, was your mom like?
My mom was a great mom, by the way.
Yeah, like
I mean that.
I tell people that all the time. I was like, my parents like they never like adhered to like the
90s. Nobody cared.
Yeah. It's like my brother was 6 years older than me, and he would be our main thing of like everything was like Friday nights we go to Blockbuster.
Yep,
and we would just pick movies, and like we would always pick movies from the movie box, just like half the other world. It's like my mother and father would like buy the hit blockbuster that came out, something real mainstream like Jurassic Park, and like me and my brother would be running around buying weird shit like The Frighteners or something.
Yes, that's one of my favorite movies too.
Well, it's good because it's like I don't know. I feel like I just talked to Jason Baker. You know who that is?
Yeah.
So I just talked to him and we were talking about like how there's not like movie posters anymore or like boxes or anything like that. And it's not like the same as it was. Like if you're going to go see a movie, you already like know what the movie is. You watch the trailers and like
the trailers at our fingertips now too. So you don't have to like sit there just as an example. I remember like sitting there waiting around the radio for Boulevard of Broken Dreams to come on the X. And I remember sitting there doing that. And now like if you just want to see something or listen to something, you can just go for it.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's a blessing and a curse for sure. But so young, you were into Halloween.
Yes.
And you were, like every year you're dressing up,
Oh, yeah. And I was never anything, like I always call them cute costumes, like when kids are like Spider-Man or like a princess or something like that. I always like...
Covered in fake blood.
Yeah, I was Dracula. The first Halloween that I can remember, I was Dracula. And then... after that, I was the Wolfman, and I remember it was 3 or 4. Sat there in a chair and had my mom did my makeup and like glued fake hair all over my face, and I literally sat there still, just like, please don't take it off that because I want this to look amazing, and like loved every minute of it.
That's what my mother like we said, our mothers are good mothers, but like she threw me into like I remember Phantoms in the Park and like the one in what was the one in Station Scare?
Yep.
It's like my mother would take me and our friends and just be like, go ahead. And we're like 6, 7, 8 years old just getting chased by a chainsaw.
I used to beg my mom to take me to Phantoms in the Park.
Yeah.
Beg her.
Now, was that the same? It was?
Yeah, so Phantoms in the Park ran from 92 to 2003, I think.
Yeah.
I know that they ended in 2003, and then we took over in 2004. But they had the property, they put everything into it, and then they just fizzled out over time.
Yeah.
They wanted to be done with it, and then 100 Acres took over.
That's it's interesting because like I remember the name Phantoms in the Park, and like I remember like like a graveyard scene in there that we would walk through, but like I don't really remember a lot of the rest of it. Like
we expanded on a lot of the property. Like they used probably, if we're using 80% of the actual property to show like the actual like show that you're supposed to see,
they
might have used 30 to 40.
Yeah.
So we built a ton of stuff over a lot of stuff that they weren't. We just felt like the industry needed to see more detail with.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that baby pool is still there.
The baby pool?
Oh, so 100 Acres used to be a swimming pool.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, they filled the pool in and everything. If you research the history of like pools in Pittsburgh, you'll figure out which one it was. But they filled everything in, but the kiddie pool is what's used for our like pond scene now.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And Phantoms used to use it too.
I didn't know that was like a. I didn't know that at
Yeah.
all. That's pretty interesting. Now, I mean, you're young. You're in school. Like, how do you kind of transition to like being someone that's into special effects? Was it just drama club?
Yeah, we did Dracula one year. And we had a makeup artist come in who bought this like little character kit, and it had like the smallest bottle of liquid latex, fake blood, and like a bruise wheel in it. And we used all the other makeup except for that stuff because we didn't really need it.
Yeah.
And I just was like a greedy teenager, and I was like, "Can I have this?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "I guess we're not going to use it." And I was like, "Okay," and just kind of kept playing with it. Yeah.
Now, were you so you do hair now? Like, how do you like? Did you have any idea what you wanted to be in high school?
Kind of. I mean, I always wanted to be like, I always wanted to do something what I thought quote unquote cool was.
Yeah.
Like, I always wanted like an abnormal job.
Yeah.
Whether it was in entertainment or just doing something that I felt passionate about. I knew that from a really young age.
Yeah.
But I was interested in makeup and I wanted to go to school for makeup, but I just didn't right away.
Yeah.
I kind of like waited and went to work for a little bit, but I kept up with special effects as a hobby.
And it's
And
like
then-
like Halloween and shit like that.
Yeah, just
You're
Halloween. I would just like do stuff. I used to like roll into school with like glass sticking out of my face, but it was just a CD case that I busted up for halfway to Halloween. People would be like, "What the hell is wrong with this kid?" I had a makeup case that I carried around with me from class to class. But yeah, after high school, I just like kept up with the hobby and then knew that I wanted to learn more about it. And Halloween plus special effects plus everything just kind of just
Perfect storm.
shoved me right to a haunted house.
That's that yeah, I guess it would. Now, are you a big cinephile, like with horror movies and shit like that? Whenever you're growing up,
Kind of like I wouldn't say that I'm like one of those dudes that's like I know every single horror movie and every single
Yeah.
thing about it, but I
you
do.
enjoy
I
it.
love horror movies.
yeah,
For
It's,
sure.
there's definitely them types of people that are like,
Yeah.
you don't know shit about it.
I'm like, okay, it's just a movie though. I was having fun watching it, but I guess not.
I did. I loved watching them old scary movies. Like I remember watching John Carpenter's Vampires, and like my mom was like, "You probably shouldn't watch it. You might have nightmares." And I didn't have nightmares from that, but like movies like The Faculty used to like
Yep.
fuck me up. I don't know why, but I would, I guess I was the same way. Like my brother was like super into doing his own makeup. I remember he would spend like, hours just like building latex just on his face, on his face, on his face. He would go buy a suit from Salvation Army, tear it up. And like, I just remember being like amazed by all this and being like obsessed and like wanting to do it myself. And he used to like use me as like his project. Like,
Yeah.
I would go to like the costume contests, and my mom one year made me Chucky. I ended up winning something there, and then he made me a zombie one time. I ended up winning something with that, and after that, I was like, "This is just so cool." And,
Right.
And once you like kind of get into like the world of like doing the makeup end of it all, you're not like scared too much of horror movies. At least I wasn't.
Yeah. I agree.
Like I hated like Night of the Living Dead. I remember watching it like whenever I was real young and being like completely freaked out, like to the point where I was like, "This, I can't watch this." And then
Yeah.
like after like watching him do like this zombie stuff, I was like, "Man, it's just it went from being like terrified to being just like super
Interested.
Yeah, interested.
Yeah.
Like, how did they do this? Like,
Yep.
why does it look like this? Like, how is this possible?" And I just remember like thinking like the colored contacts, like I can't believe that was a thing. Like, and it was just
Right.
such a fun time. But you said you volunteered with this haunted house.
yes.
Now, whenever you volunteered there, like what did you just started out as a volunteer,
Yeah.
and like how did that happen? Because I remember my experience, like when we would go there, it was Interact. I would go back there and like someone just airbrushed us like a weird.
We call it dead makeup, and it's still like very famous within like the 100 Acres like like community that we have.
Yeah.
Where we were like joking about it last night. My one friend Taylor, she jumped on the live video and was like, dude, dead and bloody. And that was literally like code on your little actor sheet for like, you got gray face, we like panda circles for eyes, and then blood.
Yeah, fake blood.
Yeah. And it was like like back in the day, I always thought it was super impressive. I'm like, they airbrush. Did you know that they airbrush?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. They airbrush makeup. Meanwhile, now I'm like, man, we weren't doing anything. That makeup was booty sometimes.
I know. I remember taking like, I had this like creepy monk like mask.
Yeah.
And I was like I had like a book bag full of different masks to go. I was like, I'm going to volunteer at this place. It's going to be sick. And they were like, yeah, you ain't even going to be able to see nothing out of that.
Yeah.
Plus I wore glasses like before I got LASIK, and I could never wear masks.
Right.
And I would just struggle through it on Halloween, like with a fogged up glasses, and it was
Right.
terrible. But I remember they would airbrush us, and like I remember they would.
It was like an assembly line.
Yeah, it's exactly
Somebody
what it was.
made you gray. Somebody made you, give you the
100%.
contour, and then the next person was like, yeah, you're fine. Here's some sealer.
So before you volunteered, like, were you like, or when you volunteered, were you like more into doing your own makeup, or were you
No.
getting like the assembly line shit?
I was in the assembly line. Like that was when nobody was allowed to. We still don't really let people do their own makeup unless they're part of our makeup team.
Yeah. Why is it?
Because for the same reason that it was back then, somebody will show up looking a hot ass mess. They will come in there, and I mean, I love the enthusiasm. Don't get me wrong, and sometimes I have to be the bad guy. Like with the show direction that I do, we want to elevate the experience for everybody. We don't want you to walk in and feel like you're at a haunted house. We want you to walk in and feel like, oh crap, I'm in this movie right now. This is the most believable thing that I can see at like
Yeah, so if
during
you have
Halloween.
them glue on scars.
People be
like,
coming in with zippers glued to their face, and I'm like, all right, kid, wipe it off.
yeah.
We'll help you. We'll at least show you how to do it the right way, but also we're not doing zipper faces here.
That's I guess that makes a lot of sense to
Yeah.
like, you know, kind of.
And somebody will dress up as Pennywise, and then we have a licensing issue.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Man, I didn't even think about that. I guess you guys have to deal with shit like that.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to like wear like name brand costumes?
No. So, I mean, we're a small haunted house in Pittsburgh. Even though like we are massive and we have a decent following behind us and we're busy,
Yeah.
I don't want to like knock on wood. I don't want to say that like Warner Brothers is going to come after us.
Yeah.
Or Universal is going to come after us. But like, one, we don't want them to because that's expensive. And
Yeah.
two, you can go to the movie theater or you can rent that movie and watch that movie at home.
Yeah.
What we're offering, what we want to use to scare you is stuff that you've never seen before. Is stuff that you don't know how the story goes.
That makes sense.
That's kind of why we choose not to use anything licensed. And without fail, every year somebody messages us on Facebook, there was no Michael Myers. This place sucks. And I'm like, thanks. We tried, I guess.
Yeah. Man, that's like a thought that I never even like went into my mind. It's because you're like technically making money off of.
Yeah, we
their
are a
stuff.
nonprofit.
Yeah.
But with that comes a lot of other rules too.
That makes sense. So it's cool that like you can just like have that assembly line and just kind of put like funnel everyone in and like kind of
Right.
make things more consistent.
Yeah.
Now, how long were you just an actor there?
So in high school, I volunteered like a handful of times. I never would go to homecoming until like my junior year, and every year on homecoming, I would go to the haunted house like a weirdo.
Yeah.
But I did that for a couple of years in high school, and then in 2012, they introduced a core acting staff, and that's our paid staff. So we do have to promote that consistency. We do hire actors and makeup artists to come down and be there every single night and be there. And they're trained to do what they're supposed to do rather because the volunteers, we love taking volunteers. We love having volunteers.
Yeah.
But there's like a reliability thing where if you rely on volunteers and you need 70 of them and 10 of them show up, you're screwed.
That's a
so
good
we
point.
got to kind of offset that problem a little bit because we're getting bigger and bigger each year.
Yeah.
And doing more and more. So I came on as one of the first core actor staffs. And I was an actor and I wanted to do makeup. And I remember I sent in my like audition email with like all of my portfolio pictures, which wasn't even that. I like took them on my phone and attached them wrong probably. And I remember they were apprehensive to hire me as a makeup artist because they were like, I don't know, you got a couple things to learn. And I was like, that's fine, I'll learn. And they let me do it.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
enthusiasm.
But my makeups were booty. But I started there as an actor and makeup artist, and then I would help out in the summer with like our summer build and doing the set work and propping and stuff like that, and then just like slowly got more and more and more and more and more involved into it.
Ah, okay.
And now that's what I do there.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, now is this like a year-round thing, the haunted house?
For us, it is, yeah. So we run usually September, October, and then the first weekend in November. And then we take the holiday season off, and then usually around like late January, early February, that's when we all start being like, hey, we should probably sit down and talk about this. And then we kind of get a good plan going of like what we want to do for the following year, what we want to take out, what we want to put in. And
like,
then,
how long does that period take? Like, is there like a month of brainstorming? Or?
Yeah, it's usually about like a month and a half of brainstorming, because even it's just like anything, we can brainstorm, but things are going to come up along the way. You get inspired by new things. So we try to like keep it pretty open, but we give ourselves a general plan.
Yeah.
But in March every year, except this year, there's a convention called Transworld Haunted Attraction Show. And it is the world's largest convention for Halloween props, costumes, makeup, sets, like seminars, you name it. It's where our industry kind of like gets together and teaches each other stuff, and we can buy things that like those giant props that you see, that's where we buy them from.
Where's this place?
It's every year. It's usually held in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you been to these?
I've never, this was going to be the first year that I was going to go finally after like 10 years.
Son of a
and I was so excited because every year I'm like, I want to go to Transworld. And they're like, we got other things planned.
Yeah.
So then this year I was finally going, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
damn it.
Yeah, COVID ruined everything. It's
Right?
like my vacation, we were actually, technically, my vacation didn't get ruined because of that. It got ruined because the only weekend I was driving to the Outer Banks, and the only weekend that we were supposed to be there, a fucking hurricane came by. And I was like, God.
So it was one of the other 50, 20, 20 things.
Yeah,
that
it was
had to
just like the whole
slam
year.
us.
It was just like garbage. And now, if you have this, like, you know, whenever you guys are like brainstorming and stuff like that, do you like, is it as simplified as like we want to have like a bunch of like, you know, zombies here and like stuff like that?
We start with a simple idea like that, where we'll say, okay, next year we want to do zombies. And then, so we all start thinking of our own things. And then we'll usually sit down. It's usually like a couple phone calls, a couple like, hey, I found this photo on Pinterest and it inspired me to have this idea, or I'll watch a movie, or somebody will say something and I'll be like, oh, wait, what if we put this twist on it? Then we start putting the twists on things. And that happens for about like, I'd say like a month. It actually never stops.
Yeah.
But, and then from there we start to get like a really solid plan.
Yeah.
And after that, that's when we start putting down, like putting it on paper, of like blocking it out and saying, okay, here's what we want to do. This is what the room is. This room's going to look like a bathroom. Okay. And then we have an idea, each of us in our heads, of like what this spooky bathroom's going to look like.
Yeah.
But until we actually like rip out the old set and go and say, all right, we're building a bathroom, that's when it becomes, okay, it's going to be this color. The shower's over here, the mirror's over there.
Oh, wow.
That's when we start to, once we're in the set, because we like to design the sets based off of the scares that are in that room.
Yeah.
So we say, okay, the scare needs to come from that corner. Then we build around it.
Ah, that's
and how do we
interesting.
hide the scare? How do we incorporate the scare into the set creatively, rather than not? For so long, even this happened at our haunt. We had different sets where like you would walk in and the actor is standing in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
It is so hard as an actor to scare in that setting, because you're out in the open.
Yeah,
There's like this vulnerability thing.
Surprise.
And then as the patron, you walk in and that surprise is gone. And you're just like, all right, there they are. What are they going to do?
Oh, that's a good
So
point to think
we have to
about.
get a little strategic.
Now, how many like Dean's have, like, I just envision this almost like Home Alone, where he has like an outline of like all the rooms, and you're like, there's going to be like shit here, there's going to be zombies there, there's going to be stuff there. Is it kind of like how, like, how do I want to phrase it? Are the rooms like always kind of like the same, like, layout, like the bones of it all?
So we keep the bones pretty much the same, and then like we take like the skin off the bones one year and then put new skin on it. That's really morbid, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. What's a good way to describe it? Now, how many people are involved with, like, you know, the brainstorming of building?
So there's a bunch of us. Our creative director, Tyler, he kind of like, he facilitates everything. And then there's myself. Me and him work closely together on all of that. And then we have like our entire scenic team, which are our actors, our makeup artists, our security people. We get everybody involved because it takes a village to create something of our size.
Oh, for sure.
So, and every once in a while you'll have that one person that walks in thinking they're being funny and they're like, oh, we should do this over there. And I'm like, actually, wait, no, fuck, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of us. Yeah, everybody kind of leaves their own little like breadcrumb in a set usually.
Yeah, I like that. That's that's cool for sure. Now, do you just have like a big ass warehouse of like shit that is used, and like you could be like, go grab them skeletons out of the fucking garage?
Yeah, so we call them prop sheds. They're like little she sheds of terror, and we have 2 of them on site. But they're usually like they get filled at the beginning of the summer and then emptied by the end of it because we just put all the stuff back in. And then we do have like an egress warehouse. I don't know if that's the word, but we have a place to put everything.
To put all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, the big stuff. Like we have that giant. We call him Steve, but if you've ever been there, he's this giant like skeleton demon warrior thing. He's like 25 feet tall.
Yeah.
He's not going to fit in the she shed.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense.
We gotta take his ass somewhere else sometime. So.
That's pretty interesting to think about. Like I've always just been like real curious because like talking to like Ricky and stuff, like they're coming up with like a storyline. Yeah. So like he was explaining like, you know, like we'll come up with the story for it first and then like kind of build from there. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, would you agree that like there's not really like a story?
Kind of. So we are telling stories. We're just telling them in a little bit of a different way.
That's a good way. Yeah, good way to put it.
We're telling 5 stories. So our first attraction when you go in previous years was called The Host, and it was based off of the bubonic plague. And then 2020 happened, and we were like, wait a minute. Yeah. Maybe we don't have a bunch of actors running around coughing on each other.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So we had to kind of like fix that. But we did keep like the London, we're just kind of like retheming it. But so we were telling the story of the bubonic plague and how what our horror twist was on it. And that was done by designers previous. We were telling the story of like, you're going in and this plague is happening, but all these people that are responsible for helping you are actually causing it to happen. So it's like this whole like multi-layered storyline that was going on. And then there were werewolves too, which was cool. Yeah. And then you went into the alien research facility. So it was this like,
oh yeah, I do remember that.
But aliens busting out of walls and stuff like that. Everything's been gone. You're not
relying on like dialogue to tell the story. Exactly. You're relying on like the
visual things and like all the audio that's happening and stuff like that. And the acting does tell the story, but there's not like an exposition and a climax and a finale and stuff like that. It's more just like chaos the whole time.
Yeah, but it's still keeping you on the path.
Yeah.
It's like a runaway train.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you're doing this and like you're kind of, you know, like coming up with these certain things and you're kind of like coming up with these different ideas, like, are you like, how conscious is it basically like, I'm going to make with what I got? Like, are you guys like really like, what's the right way to describe it? Like, are you like recycling a lot of the stuff that you have?
Yeah. So, I mean,
like repainting everything and like,
yeah. So we have a group of really, really, really talented artists that they do scenic work for a living. Yeah. And we had a ton of props that we wanted to look slightly different for something that we were going to do this year. That's going to be unveiled next year. So I'm not going to say too much yet. Yeah. But they were able to take a lot of those props and redress them and repaint them to make them what I thought they look better now, to be honest. Because we're indoor outdoor. So like we'll buy a prop that's supposed to look like this like ripped apart body. And then in 2 summers, after it's been sitting in the rain, sleet, and snow, all of a sudden that body's just like this yellow foam like weird anomaly. And I'm like, oh shit, we got to do something about that. Yeah. Yeah. Because like you can't just throw blood on everything either.
Yeah, I guess so. I like the reason I asked that is because like I know that like you know, you're obviously trying to like, you know, keep the cost of like, you know, your build out as low as you can make it. So it's interesting to hear about how like, you know, you kind of like finesse.
Yeah, we got to get creative sometimes. That's why when we rip out that alien section, we're going to be screwed. Because like all those alien props, we're going to be like, oh crap, how do we reuse these now?
Yeah, that's a good
point. So we'll figure something out though.
That's that's the beauty of having all these people involved with it.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have an idea. Now, while you're doing this and like you're coming up with all this stuff and doing these build outs, now you were saying before, like sometimes shit will just like change as it's happening. Like,
Yeah.
Ian's come up with like random ideas. Like, how about we just like, Ian's like, is there like limits to what you'll do, or will you go as far as being like, we need to just change this, we need to make this room bigger, and like
There are some limits that
Yeah.
like obviously like financial limits. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can't
yeah.
just like rebuild the building, but 90% of the time, a decent amount of the time, we'll walk in and we'll have a clear idea of like, we want this room to be a bathroom.
yeah.
And then we'll get in there and we'll just be sitting there like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't feel right. Like if we're not into it, we're not putting it in there.
Oh, that's good then.
It's just it's going to look like it was thrown together. We're going to rush it. We're going to try and move on. And I've seen so many haunted houses, not in this area, just other ones that I've traveled to. I've seen so many of them. They look like they've been rushed, and
Yeah.
patrons notice that.
100%.
Like if you walk in somewhere and it looks like it was thrown together, it's thrown together.
Yeah, it's like me and my wife have been to, we'll go to different places. On our honeymoon, we went to Salem, and they had like seven different haunted houses. But it's like some of them were rushed. Some of them were like tourist attractions. You could tell were just like rushed. But like some of them were super dope. Like some of them you could tell were like, there's very, very like well thought out. And then, patrons could absolutely tell, and like they're going to be 100% honest, especially that everyone could put their fucking.
And there was a
opinions
year
on.
that they noticed too. We took a hit one year because there wasn't a lot going on. The energy was really low. I don't know if it was just the year in general or if it was just what we were doing, and we got so many negative reviews for those reasons.
Really?
It felt like it was slapped together. It felt like it was. The sets were thrown together. The actors they didn't have enough energy, or there weren't enough of them. It was just like top to bottom, we were getting ripped apart, and we listened.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh crap, that's not what we wanted. We didn't try to do that. We were missing something somewhere. So we just kind of like redesigned our team and redesigned what we wanted to do. And that's why last year we came out and people were like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
They're back.
Yeah, we're back. Now, is this like kind of, like how big of obviously this is one of the biggest factors that no one's ever really like took in consideration with this like virus shit, the COVID, and a haunted house, you want it to be like, you want people to like be, invading your space. You want it to be uncomfortable and things like that. It's like, does this shift your whole, like how does this obviously turns the world upside down?
Yeah. I'm definitely very interested to see what's going to happen with like the coming years with everything. And that's just with everything involved with COVID. Like, but with us this year, we were going to have to, one of our biggest complaints was there's never enough actors. And I had like 60 to 75 actors last year there.
Yeah.
Almost every single night.
What's like the capacity that you guys like, if you had 100% of the people in there, how many would it be?
I would have like easily 100 actors. If I had 100 actors every single night, that place would feel like there's no break. And you need to have those breaks because you want people to go like peaks and valleys with fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's what keeps them scared. If you keep them scared the whole time, there's nowhere else for them to go. But 100 people would be like perfect and ideal. And we were running the one year at like 30.
Oh, really?
Sometime one night there were 12 and I was panicked.
Oh, yeah.
Not last year. This was like previous years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Before I was involved with the show direction. But
now, is it hard to like, is it hard to find these actors? Like,
yes and no. Like, it's a certain type of person that wants to act in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, everybody's like, oh, it'd be so cool to go down there and scare somebody. Like until you do it though. Because it's a lot. Yes. And like it's a very physical job. It's a very like the schedule is very demanding because we're open from like 7 to 11:30 on the busiest nights.
Yeah.
But we get there at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And we
start
don't leave
shit
till
ready.
like 1:32 because that's when everybody starts to like we've gotten everybody through, everybody's out of the house, and we have like a whole system on how we have to like keep track of everybody.
Yeah.
So that nobody ends up getting locked in a box for the next 12 hours, which has never happened, luckily.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like kind of taken into all this, like, the COVID stuff is, I don't know, it's going to be weird for everything in the world. Like,
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting from a customer point of view how haunted houses are going to like go about doing things. And I went to a couple this year already. Like Castle Blood is like different because like, you know, not all the time people aren't really like invading your personal space.
Right.
So it's like they kind of have like a good, like it kind of helps them out a little bit. But we went to Dungeon of Terrors in Moundsville.
Okay.
At the Moundsville Penitentiary. And that was like, you know, that was probably that was like the closest it was to like a real haunted house where people were like having to be, you know, distanced.
Yeah.
And like everyone's wearing masks.
That was a big thing. We were put on I was limited to like 25 actors. And I was like, if I need 100 to make this place feel right, and 60 to 75 last year, depending on the night, was comfortable.
Yeah.
And we didn't get negative reviews. 25 is people like, as much as I would love to sit here and think that people would have been like, no, we get it. They don't.
Yeah, they definitely don't.
and they shouldn't. They shouldn't have to. That was one of the big reasons why we closed, is that we were capable of putting on a really safe show.
Yeah.
We were capable of putting on a really good show with the things that were stacked against us. But
It's
I shouldn't
not gonna
say
be-
stacked against us, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like,
It's not going to be what we feel is the best quality of our show.
yeah. And that's understandable.
That mixed with all the other things, like the county pretty much advised us. They were like, you guys, it's not safe for, even with all of this, you can't eliminate the risk. And
Now-
we were like, all right.
when was the decision made like we're going to cancel this year?
It was, I mean, we kind of had that like looming over us.
Yeah.
Since everything started to shut down.
I guess people didn't even know if things were going to open up.
Yeah, and we planned to open. We were down there every single day. We were doing things nonstop, around the clock. But I want to say it was made like end of August, because that was, we usually open. Oh, September 11th this year was going to be our opening night.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to plan accordingly to that. So we originally postponed our season until October, and we were like, we're going to reevaluate. We're going to look, see what things look like, see how many things are going to be able to change, and what risk we're going to be able to eliminate. And we just didn't feel right at that point either.
That makes sense. Now,
We're proud of this decision. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
it's a bummer for everybody. Everybody knows that.
100%. Like, and I feel like people have to understand that, and that's like part of the reason that I wanted to like have you on to talk about it, because like I love, like, there's nothing more that I love than going to haunted houses, and it's like every year in October we try to go as many places as we can,
right?
And like just hit all the different ones, and it's like, you know, once I saw that you guys weren't open, I was like, damn, like this shit's serious. And then like you see like Scare House like kind of changing up what they're doing and going to like
which is
Pittsburgh
Great
Mills.
too.
Yeah, like
I'm
that's
so
cool.
happy that every haunted house in the area is able to open it in some capacity. Like, it's awesome to me that there is still a way for it to be done.
Yeah.
But we were just zoned so weird too, because we're indoor, we're outdoor, we're in the county park too. That's where our property is.
Yeah, so like now how does it, I mean, technically you guys were allowed to open, but it just had to be like a super low capacity.
Super low capacity. There was a number of things that
you would have had to
we would have had to have done, but we had the county parks department and the health department involved through the whole planning period.
Yeah.
And then it just came right down to the wire, and we were like, we can't do this.
Now, in a perfect world, no COVID or anything like that, like what is like the capacities, like, I mean, because I've been to 100 Acres a few times where it's like
we're packed,
booming,
yeah.
And it's like if you're not buying the what is the RIP pass,
the VIP tickets,
yeah, like you're gonna be waiting for a minute.
The way that our walkthrough is, and we're not like a stop and go show.
Yeah.
So some haunted houses you'll walk into a scene, much like Castle Blood, and you do a thing, you interact with somebody, and then you keep moving with your group.
Yeah.
There's way too many people for us to offer that type of experience. So what we do is we do a continuous walkthrough. You're waiting in line for 3 hours, but once you get into that place, there's no more waiting in line. It is constantly moving through that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you yourself being like someone who sees behind the scenes, do you think that this will be, I mean, I guess this is going to be a loaded question, because for a customer point of view, I feel like it could be a benefit to some extent by not being,
yeah.
Because my biggest complaint with haunted houses is like them being too overpacked And
you're there, you're trying to have a private night with your friends.
not even that. It's just like, if there's a fucking group in front of me, it's like I see what's happening, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm about to walk 5 steps ahead of you. Don't even have enough time to get reset and like scare the shit out of someone.
Right.
So I feel like that this could be a chance. Like that one we went to in Moundsville, like it was fantastic because like we were our own group. It was just me and my wife, and it was just like, there wasn't,
Yeah.
we didn't see all the shit that was about to happen.
Right. And that's like we designed the place strategically, like to think, okay, where is this scare going to be able to come from that if somebody does walk into the set that hasn't seen it yet,
Yeah.
they're still not going to know.
Yeah.
And it's all in how the show's directed too. And that's like one of my biggest things with our cast is that I tell them it's a scare and reset. It's a scare and reset. Don't like
Loom around.
Don't loom around. Like staring at people's not scary anymore. Like,
Yeah.
It's just not. So when you do your thing, you want to pop scare, you want to have some type of interaction if you can. If not, you need to like reset to make sure that that next group that walks in gets it the exact same way that the first group got it.
Now, I also feel like this is going to be like a hard thing for, you guys to adapt to because it's
Yeah.
like it's going to slow down your nights. It's going to,
Yeah.
kind of create a natural funnel that yins are going to have to adapt to, which
Yeah.
I know is going to suck for sure.
Yeah, and we had a ton of those. We had a ton of those adaptations in place already. So if we're hoping that, obviously, everybody's hoping that this all kind of
Eventually.
runs its course and we're all good.
Yeah.
But if these things are still needing to be put in place, or we feel like they are things that we are like, hey, that's a lot safer for our patrons, that's a lot safer for our cast, we're going to keep them.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're about. That's why we made the decision that we made.
Yeah. And I mean, like, from your point of view, like, are you guys getting a lot of backlash from this?
I don't think so. I've read some of the comments. Like, I don't get any of like the patron emails or
Yeah.
the messages and stuff from Facebook, but when we post something, like I'm like a hawk in the comment section just watching, because I take it so personally.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so passionate about it that I want to make sure that people aren't like, man, screw those guys over there, they suck.
I feel like people have to understand
They haven't
it.
been though. A lot of people are like, we're disappointed, but not at you. Like, we get it. We
Yeah.
understand. Everybody's unhappy, but at the same time, they get it. They're supportive of our decision too, which is really nice.
Well, that's good.
There's always going to be that guy though.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how long does it take, if you weren't like kind of bogged up with another group or anything like that, how long does it take to get through 100 Acres?
Depends on how fast you can run.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes, depending on the pace that you're moving at.
Yeah, like
it's huge.
It's a huge place. It's definitely well worth the ticket to get in there, because it's not like you're in
Thank
there and
you.
just out right away.
Yeah.
And we go every year. It's like it's fun to go, and every year you guys do a good job at like adapting and changing things up, and same thing. That's why I love Castle Blood too. It's because
Yeah.
like they even though the bones are like a little bit similar, they change everything up. Like the whole thing
They're
this year
so
is different.
creative. Like, their thing is like full on theater. Like, that's every time I go in there, that's the itch that it scratches for me, is like this classic theater production.
Yeah.
You're going in there and it's like a play is happening in front of you, involving you. With us, it's the same, but last year we did a lot more incorporating our patrons into the show and like inviting them to kind of interact with people
Yeah.
and acknowledging them when they walk into rooms. But I see so many haunted houses that are just like, you're just walking through action that's happening around you and it's not happening to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And that makes sense. Now, while you're doing this and like while you're kind of, are you acting anymore in these?
So when I get to act, it's like a special treat night for
Yeah.
me, because I signed up to do, I say I signed up. I am responsible for our cast and our show direction. So anything that happens behind the scenes is what I kind of like focus on. So cast, costuming, makeup,
You like organizing
themes,
where people are?
yeah, I make sure that they're trained properly. I make sure that they know what's going on at the beginning of the night and at the end of the night.
What is training? What it like? Give me a rundown of what that is. Like, do you just explain like what you're going to do?
We
this
do like
place?
scare acting 101. So
Okay.
the first day of training, last year we did it as a four part, like a 4-week thing every Sunday. And Scare acting 101 is usually the first day, and that's learning how to scare people safely and effectively.
Yeah.
So scare from arm's length away, be loud, like vocal techniques, vocal warm-ups, anything that involves,
wow.
yeah, pretty much like how to be scary and not get hit is
Yeah.
like what I what I paraphrase it as.
People hit people
Oh,
there?
all the time.
I'm sure that
All
they
the
do.
time. For some reason, some Kyle or some Becky comes walking in there from the bar, which is fine. We want people to have fun.
Yeah.
We have a bar on site now, but they like walk in and like clock some 14-year-old because they're scared, and I'm like, yo, chill.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't happen often,
but it definitely
but it
happens.
definitely does. It's more in the line when they're outside because like they don't expect to be scared out there.
Yeah, someone's just
and it's
chilling
fight or
behind
flight.
their
People
shoulder.
are like, it's a thing within the haunted house community. Like we all joke about like, you got to kind of like watch, and that's why we always tell people to scare from an arm's length away, because if I'm my arm's length away from you, your arm is away from me. So if you start swinging, I'm out of here.
Yeah, you can at least get away a little bit.
But I've been clocked a couple of times, usually because I'm not following my own rules though.
Now, you said it's a special occasion if you get to go scare.
Yeah. So I used to do Q line acting where I played this character McWiggins who would run around the line, and I was just like this aggressive boogeyman zombie thing. It was like what I felt like. Do you ever like shut the lights off when you're walking up the steps and you can kind of like feel something behind you, so you like pick up the pace a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt was behind me, was this character that I played. And then I retired him and played this really aggressive like clown character, which was just like this like punked out rude ass clown. And it was pretty much insult comedy mixed with like cheap scares, which was, it's fine because you're a clown.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that was
yeah.
so much fun. But then once I took on this position and I started getting more involved in like the operations management of things, it's hard because I got into costume and immediately had to like dip to the back of the house because I have an actor that's having a situation that they need me there for. So
Yeah. Now, whenever you come up with your own character, like, do you make your own characters?
Yeah. So our cast, like, we kind of design their characters for them and say, like, hey, if you have something that you want to build off of, by all means, bring that to us. But with our Q line characters, we kind of give them either a prompt, or with me, I just kind of like just have an idea in my head of like, oh, I want to do something like this, and I'll like throw it together. Or really, like, I'll either throw it together because it's a last minute thing that I'm going to get to act that night, or it's something that I've sat there and thought about and put together something. So
That's pretty interesting.
it just depends on the situation or the character or the night too.
Yeah. Now, while you're an actor and you're doing this stuff like that, it's like, I thought it was fascinating whenever you said like, oh yeah, we're going to do training, like you do like vocal techniques and stuff like that. I guess that would make sense because like
You're screaming all
the
night,
time.
every night for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So like, I actually have the Melissa Cross DVD. Do you know her? She's
Melissa
the metal vocal coach.
Oh,
She does like all the huge metal vocalists.
I think I do know who that is.
Yeah, and she trains them how to keep their voices
On the road and
intact
stuff
on the
like
road,
that.
and they're performing 45-minute, hour-and-a-half sets each
Wow.
night. We're performing 6-hour sets each night. Screaming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And trust me, I'm not taking away from what they do. They like, that's a whole nother.
No, I get it, but
beast.
it's like,
But we have to kind of incorporate stuff like that into our show because we run 42 nights out of the year. So that first weekend is literally the worst weekend of haunted houses. It's the best as a patron, the worst in management, because you hire all of these kids that want to come in and they think it's going to be super fun, and it is, but it's a lot. And then they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so
what do you think the turnaround is from like who you get in the beginning? Do a lot of people drop off?
there's a huge drop off. I always say if you run a haunted house and you are responsible for hiring actors, do not stop hiring actors.
Yeah.
Like if it's Halloween, I'll hire somebody. I'll be like, you want to come act? I'll pay you. It's fine. Come on in, because we always need people. You can always have more people. And I don't think you can, as an entertainment kind of a show that we do, you can't have too many actors because that's what people want to come and see.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, is there like, do you just have like a B squad that's just chilling in the back, like, you know?
Oh no, they're
cigarettes?
all out there the whole time.
I guess, yeah. If you don't have
Yeah.
like a full group of it.
Yeah, we do give them breaks. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
we have 5 people in each 5 of the sections that are there. They're responsible for going through and checking on the actors, but they're an actor themselves.
Oh, so
they're just roamers. So they go in and they're like, "Hey, dude, you got to go to the bathroom." And then that actor will be like, yeah, I'll be right back. And so they go to the bathroom while that person covers their spot. There's like a whole system going on.
Wow. Yeah, I was curious about that because I was going to say, like, what happens when people are like, you know,
People get sick. They got to go. They have emergencies. Things happen. So we have different systems in place to kind of not sacrifice a moment of our show.
Huh. That's
At
interesting.
least we try.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't win them all. But
Now, if you get an actor, do they get to have any sort of like, you know, do you kind of just place them where they're going to be, or like
it's based off of an audition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What's an audition like?
So what we do is we had over like 400 applications last year, and I had to like pre-screen everybody on the phone.
Jeez.
I've never been hung up on so many times in my life because everybody thought I was a scam trying to sell them car insurance or a warranty or something.
Yeah.
So they'd answer and I'd be like, hi, is so-and-so available? And they're like, click.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you applied, but whatever. But we pre-screen everybody, and I kind of just give them the rundown of like, here, this is what your night is going to look like while you're working here. Here are the things that like most people are unhappy with. I pretty much give them the bad news first, so that way then they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Or no, I'll put up with anything.
Things?
It's fine. Just like long hours. Are you able to stand for 6 hours at a time? Like, are you able to do these physical jobs? Can you scream? Can you be there every night? Because like it's hard to invest the time that we're dedicating to our show into somebody who only wants to do it 3 times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we want the consistency. That's why we have these highly trained actors. So
Wow.
But at the auditions it was like a 4-hour process, I think. And we do multiple times leading up to training. But you would come in, the first thing that we would do is just like some simple like body movement exercises and stuff.
Walk like a zombie and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that, just to get like the juices flowing. People are nervous as hell too.
Oh, I bet.
So like everybody like walks up and they're like, I'm like really scared. And I myself am scared to even facilitate these auditions because I'm nervous as hell. I'm nervous right now.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange because like if you're not someone who like works in haunted houses and you're like gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna
it's intimidating.
Try to walk like a zombie real quick, like, you know, unless you're sitting in your room like
walking like a zombie every day.
Yeah, I used to just watch like Night of the Living Dead whenever I would dress like a zombie because I would want to walk. I would want it to look legit,
right?
But if you're not someone who's like kind of nerding out a little bit like that, you know, you might not be prepared for that shit.
And we are weird ass people. Like anybody that does any type of acting is a weirdo in some way, shape, or form because we have to pretend to be somebody else and commit to that. So like, it's so strange to try and teach that to somebody or get it out of them immediately at an audition and still let them know, like, there's no way that you can do a bad job with this.
Yeah.
Like our audition is more of instead of you're trying out to work here, you're trying the job. You're going to work here.
Yeah.
Like I'll hire you. It's fine. But I want you to want to do it. And I want you to know what you're comfortable with. So then we have them do a startle scare, which are your drop doors, your breakaway doors, all those things that are hidden within the sets.
Yeah.
We have like a portable one that's really fun for like our volunteer training. So we had them all run that and they had to just drop the door and scream. I was like, don't say anything. Just drop the door and scream. That's when you get to notice who can scream correctly.
Yeah.
Who can scream and project their voice. Who's going to be loud and who's going to be like, yeah. And I'm like, that's not going to work. So then we do an interactive exercise too, where they get a scripted line and they have to deliver that line as a character. And those are our dialogue roles, which we do have them like sporadically spread out. And then the final thing that we do is we let them either do the startle again, the interactive again, or show me what you got. If there's something that you could offer that I didn't give you the opportunity to, because I've had people that are metal vocalists come in and they're like, no, I can make some weird noises. And I'm like, actually, yes, please show me those because that's really cool. So
do you remember the band Aftermath AD?
Yeah.
So they had a lead singer and he can make this like, he made this like, it almost sounded like the Predator. It was like a gargling weird.
So if you're out there,
yeah, it's like
and we're gonna haunted house.
It's so weird because it's like I guess like I never really like thought about those types of like things. Like if there's someone who could offer something as bizarre as something like
that's
that.
Like 90% of like my demon noises or stuff like that. I am in no way, shape, or form a talented metal vocalist, but it all comes from like inhales, inward breathing, stuff like that. So
bunch of pig squeals.
Literally.
man, the music scene was an interesting time. So if you're like, I mean, like, do you miss, like, I'm sure you love being like involved when it even more, but like, do you like miss the acting part of it all?
Every fucking time. But it's a different type of satisfaction now.
Yeah, it gotta
Because
be.
it's like a torch carrying kind of thing.
Yeah,
where
it's super
I
cool.
did it for so long and quote unquote was super successful at it in our line and was able to do different spots that now I get to, instead of doing it myself and getting that satisfaction of watching somebody like try and like go home because they're too scared and they haven't even gone in yet.
You're like the mentor position.
Now I get to pass that on to people and show them like, no, here, do it this way. Or no, that was fucking amazing. Don't do anything ever different ever again.
Now, is it pretty like noticeable who is like people that are like, you know, there because they're 100% into it and people that are just there to dick around?
The people that are 100% into it come back every year.
Yeah.
And they're there the whole season. Yeah. I know after the first weekend who's not going to be there.
Oh, wow.
Because you can tell. You have to be 100% into it.
Yeah.
It's a lot and it's fun. And like I said, it takes a special type of weirdo to want to scream in people's faces for 6 hours and think it's fun.
I remember I remember volunteering there, and like after the first day, I remember having the worst headache of all time just because like I would just be screaming. I remember there was like the place that I was, it was almost like a butcher shop, and I had like this like spray painted like red and black face almost, and I was wearing like a butcher's robe or some shit, and I was carrying a big metal hook, and they were like, just hit it off the ground or the side of the fucking case or something. And I was like, all right, but like after that I'm like, damn, it's like I have a fucking headache,
and
like,
the burnout is real.
Yeah, it's like
the way we train
one
actors,
day.
we teach them how to not get burnt out halfway through the night.
Yeah,
because it happens. You'll like that first hour, especially that first weekend. People have been like sitting in their houses. I can only imagine what next season is going to be like. But they've been sitting in their houses all summer, just waiting to scare people again. And then that first night, they're like giving it their all.
Yeah.
Like opening night is always the best night to go to a haunted house because people are fucking wild.
Yeah, and they're ready to get going.
They're ready to go. And then like the second night they come in and they're like, I can't do my spot. And I'm like, you better figure it out.
Do you have people like that are do you have actors that are there that just got like some like, you know, the chloroseptic in the back and everything like that? I'm sure that there's people that do.
Oh yeah, like there's like it's a vocal spray that singers use that I tell them all like, hey, if you want it, go get it. It's like a throat numbing spray, so it helps to kind of keep everything lubricated. But we just tell them water and Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids is a trick that they use on Broadway for singers. Like you get a couple of them and it starts to get your glands. I don't know what the science is,
everything.
But yeah, the saliva to kind of keep things lubricated so that way your throat doesn't dry out.
Wow.
People are like tea and honey and this and that. That's good to like for maintenance for your voice. But if you just need to like get it going real quick, just pop 3 of those in, chew them up real quick. And then you're going to be like,
wow. That's interesting.
It's like little things like that we do, little rituals and stuff.
What is so what's like what kind of stuff do you like? Like what is your favorite thing to see in haunted houses? Like, you know, I love I don't know, like there was we went to some random ass haunted house that was ran by, you know, a school interact club out in like Deer Park or
Deer Lakes.
Yeah. It was like in a pavilion, and you know, there was like 8 people in there. You know? But they had one of the scariest things I've ever seen because they had like a what the hell are they called? A suitcase, and it was like a room setting, and there was like someone in the bed, and like they had her like floating up a little bit, and I was like, that's super cool. But there was a suitcase just leaning against a wall, and I guess this girl had to be like a gymnast. She was some real young girl, but she was like she was doing a back bend and like running out, and I was like, what the? I like started running. Yeah, I was freaked out. But like stuff like that is what freaks me out. I hate clowns. Like I hate clowns.
You've probably told the worst person you could ever tell
clowns.
what your biggest fear is. You know that, right?
I hate clowns, and like I used to. It's all because of Pennywise, the original one.
Yep.
I didn't.
Dude, try being a clown with red hair when the remake came out. Everybody would be like, "Are you Pennywise?" And I'm sitting there like, "Man, get the hell out of my face."
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the remakes. The second one I thought was terrible. The second remake of
I loved it.
the second one
I loved them.
I love I love the first one of the remake, but I didn't like the second one because
Spoiler alert, when he's at the end and he's like sitting there all deflated looking so strange, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Like,
but at the same time,
that was cool, but I hate CGI stuff. And I
I
think that's why I love haunted houses so much, because it's like
we can't do anything.
yeah, it's like people aren't like, people aren't like, it's
we
not
have some
fake.
CGI quote unquote things. Like,
Yeah.
there's technology put into a couple of vendors that were like Pale Knight Productions. If you ever want to look up their stuff, they're incredible.
Is that like the kind of shit, like the big ass things that like come out with the?
No, they did a lot of like it's a TV that's built into the set. And so like when you walk in, like it's a zombie running at we had a zombie shot, and it was a zombie like graphic where the zombie's running towards you on this television, and then its head gets blown off from this like zombie hunter behind him, but there's an airline with water that bursts out of it.
Wow.
So you're seeing this like CGI stuff happen in front of you, but you're in a haunted house. Technology has taken this industry and like put it on a pedestal. It's insane.
Now, do you, as someone who, different points of view, as someone who's a customer of haunted houses, like, do you appreciate like the huge things? Like,
Yes.
I love them. I think that they're so cool. Like the big dragon heads and shit.
If I go to another haunted house, the things that I look for first are like passion and energy. Like if I walk in and it's like some dude that's like, I'm going to be like, all right, come on, guys. I'm like, you need help. I'll train them.
You're the
I'll
biggest
tell them.
critique. You got to be the biggest critique.
But at the same time, like if I walk into a haunted house and each show is different,
Yeah.
and we all respect that. Like I've seen haunted houses walk out of our show and they're like, man, we could have done that so much better. And I'm like, then go fucking do it, buddy.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, respect what we do. We respect what everybody else does. Unless
100%.
it's like 100% lame. Then
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
That's whack.
that was bad. But I want to see energy. I want to see passion from your actors, but I want to see like detail put into it. Like immersion and stuff like that. Like if I walk in and it's black plastic bags and Jason masks, I'm going to be like, okay,
Kind of weak.
there's a lot more that you could do with this space. There's a lot more that you could be doing that it might just take somebody an extra, like they need that one season to get that under their belt to be like, oh, okay, wait a second. Let's upgrade this a little bit. Let's upgrade that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of haunted houses in this area that are doing that. There's a huge come up happening with Pittsburgh haunts.
It's cool that like, I go to all of them around here, and it's like, I like the big ass like theatric things, like the big animatronics and everything. Like that's cool, but I don't want like haunts to use that as a crutch. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like it's awesome when it's an addition, but like I just don't want to like have that be like one main focus and like that be the main thing.
And I think that like you can have, if you put a lot into your set work, and that's what we try and do, is we want to make the sets look as detailed and as, even if it's an exaggerated version of a bathroom or a living room or something like that, it still is recognizable of that type of a room.
100%.
Distract the hell out of you and then hit you where it hurts. That's what we want to do. And so if I walk into another show and these sets are like super detailed, I know that actor is going to come flying out of there and I'm not going to know what hit me. I went to Universal Halloween Horror Nights last year for we did like a turn and burn trip. I like got on a plane at 5 a.m., did the behind the scenes tour, did the RIP tour at night, and then got on a plane the next morning and came back and reopened our show.
Wow.
And they put so much into it. They got that Universal money though.
Yeah.
So they can kind of do anything.
I know my cousin works at the Harry Potter world.
Oh,
she
yeah.
runs like all the training, and she's always like telling me, "You need to come down. You need to come down." And
It
I'm
is
just
the
like, I know.
coolest
I
stuff.
need to go down. I need to go down. And it's like if I love, like I went to Six Flags.
Okay.
Do they have one of them Six Flags Horror
think
Nights
so.
or whatever in Ohio? Like that place was cool, but it was just like the thing that deters me from that is it's so busy that like you can't like really get like a full.
Yeah.
Like if I wouldn't have won, they had like a Plinko board there, and you could pay $5 and you got 2 pucks, and if you drop it in, you could win, skip to the front of the line. And I would have only been able to go through one haunted house and ride like one or two rides. I ended up winning a Plinko board and got to skip the line.
Yeah, we did the RIP tour for Universal, and like If I
worth
had
it.
not have done that, I would not have gotten to see anything.
Yeah.
Because those lines are just so massive, but they constantly like walk you through. Anybody that goes to like a traditional haunted house that's like private, you're walking through, it's just your group, you're going to hate Universal, but they do it so well
Yeah.
that you are
It's worth it.
constantly walking, and it's amazing. I was screaming. They were making fun of me.
Yeah.
Like we had our tour guide was like, dude, don't you do haunted houses? And I was like, first of all, I'm chicken shit in
Yeah.
haunted houses. Though.
I know. I
am
get
the
super
easiest
scared.
scare.
I get super scared. I won tickets to Scare House from Kiss FM the other like a couple years ago, and there was like a scene where everyone was in. It looked like a church, and there was like a bunch of like there was a bunch of people in red robes in this church, and like one or two of them were real, and like there's a picture of me on their like promo video, just like like sitting
Full
there.
on
My wife's
flamingoed.
laughing behind me, like yeah, flamingo. That's a perfect thing, and I like all that stuff because I do get scared. It's like if I didn't get scared, I wouldn't go spend
Right, it's not
money
gonna
on
be
it.
fun.
You see that meme where it's like you spend $40 on a haunted house, I better die.
Dude, right.
But it's like I don't
People
know.
act like that though. It's so funny. They'll come out and they'll be like sweating, like they've been screaming the whole time, and they're like, "That sucked." And I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
don't
it
look
didn't.
like
it looks like you were having a great time." But for every person that's like doing that, there's like 90 people that are like, "This is so much fun. We love coming here. We love just having fun."
Yeah, I
So
saw
I
that.
like
I
that.
saw that there, and there's people that like are like like a cult follower. It's like they just they'll go no matter what. Like I saw you posted a picture of like the one kid took pictures
Curtis,
with you,
yeah.
like all the time. Like that's awesome. Like
He
I
came down
love
my
that.
first year, and he was 4 years old, and he wanted a picture with me. He was like super cool, and I tell him every year, I'm like, dude, you remind me of what I was like at your age. Like
Yeah.
I remember being obsessed with haunted houses and obsessed with horror movies and stuff like that, and like seeing this like 4-year-old kid walk up who was like not even phased by
Yeah.
me, and I've got 30-year-old dudes running back to their car.
For sure.
I'm like, yeah, let's get a picture.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be awesome. And then every year they would come back opening night, and I slowly just kind of, I recognized him, and I slowly just kind of formed a relationship with them. And then one year I wasn't there. I had left.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to be able to do it this year. And they messaged me and they were like, hey, somebody was looking for you down here. They asked if you were coming back. Like, are you going to come down and guest act at all? And I was like, oh my gosh, it was Curtis coming down for his yearly photo.
Wow.
And I was like, I just ruined Halloween. I ruined Halloween for them. So I tracked his mom down on Facebook like a creep.
That's all right.
I don't do this for everybody, but I tracked his mom down and messaged her and was like, hey, I'm the guy from 100 Acres Manor. If you want to come down, like, I'm so sorry that I wasn't there when you guys were. Come on down. It's on me. Like, you
That's
guys can
awesome.
walk through and we'll get our picture. And then every year since then, we just kick it. And this year when we closed, I messaged her and I was like, hey, listen, like, we can still get our picture though.
That's awesome.
So just come meet me down there. And I went down the other night and we were kicking it.
That's cool.
Socially distant, of course.
Yeah, socially distant. Now, what is as a customer of a haunted house, like what is your least favorite aspect of a haunted house?
Oh. Like, what do you mean? Like
the things that I hate are them fucking inflatable.
oh,
things
okay,
you gotta
okay.
walk
I was
through.
like
The
parking.
big-ass vaginas
I'm
you
like
walk
waiting
through.
in line. No, I think what I hate the most in haunted houses, like what scares me the most.
No, things that you dislike about haunted house. Like why
Oh,
are
that
these
I'm-
things? Like you know what I'm talking about? Them inflatable bags that you got to crawl through.
Fucking creepy dolls. I
yeah.
hate.
dolls
It
are
doesn't
weird.
even scare me. It's just like there's something about somebody like putting red rosy cheeks and like 2 lines on their mouth and walking over and be like, "Do you want to come and play with me?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, bitch, go away.
I
Go
know.
crawl back over there.
Yeah.
Do something else next time."
Well, that makes sense.
It's such like a I'm just such a critic about that.
That's all right. I mean, yeah, I feel like
Vaping clowns.
vaping clowns.
Dude.
Do people vape?
You've
there?
never heard of this?
No.
So there's maybe not. There's this whole thing within the haunted house industry that's like these characters. They're like these clown dudes that will go on and they put on like trip pants and like a clown mask and like arm socks. And then they like vape live on Facebook with like DJ lights. And like, I swear to, I'll start
is
tagging
real.
you. I'm going to start tagging you in them. It's fucking crazy.
I'd love to watch one.
No, it's so cringy. We call it boo cringe in
Yeah.
the industry. But they kind of, they
Yeah.
get me. It
I'm not a
reminds me of
vapor
that.
and I don't like
No.
clowns, so I feel like it'll be funny to watch it. It's like,
And they're just sitting there talking. They're like, hey, dude, what's up? And I'm like, do something.
Yeah, do something fun.
They're just trying to get likes, but
Now, I mean, so obviously, 100 Acres is closed this year, and you guys are obviously with the stuff that Ian's were doing, kind of rolling that into next year. It's like, what are what are the goals of this? Like, obviously, I keep saying obviously. It's probably the seventh time I said it, but it's like
I know we don't want to like piss anybody off because
it's not even that. It's just like I feel like that there's no real answers because like we don't know if a year from now if people are going to be immune to COVID or what I mean, and you don't know what's going to happen with everything. But like what are the goals of the haunt from now until then? It's like, are you guys gonna just keep elaborating on what you were gonna do and just try to
for
go
sure
from there?
We like from the moment that we made the decision, like there was like that whole weekend I was like, I'm just taking a nap, like I'm sad as hell. But like it's just kind of one of those things where when you're faced with a situation, you got to decide if you're going to get through it or if you're not. And we're choosing to look at this and we're going to say, we're going to take what we did this year, we're going to build even more off of that, and then we're going to go through and nitpick our show and take every little aspect of it and make it better.
Yeah.
Whether it's minor tweaking or major tweaking, if it's rebuilding a whole set or something like that, we're going to do as much as we can to just make it even more elaborate.
Do you think that the COVID rules are going to be a benefit for the haunts overall to some extent?
I think it's hit or miss. Like some haunts, it might be better because if they didn't have big traffic coming towards them in the beginning, now even with COVID, they're doing twice as many people as they used to.
Yeah.
But for the bigger haunts, they're doing 25% of the people that they used to.
I guess that's
so.
a good
It's
way to
like
look
some
at it.
people are going to benefit, some people aren't, and I think that like that's just like the business side of everything. I think with the shows and stuff like that, it just depends on how creative and how innovative people are going to be able to get.
That's fair.
Yeah. And we did enough of that. Like we had all of our actors, we were like, we're going to mic them. We're going to do this. We're going to scare from a distance. We're going to have some actors on sound controls. But we just, at the end of the day, we felt that like we are known for being in your face.
Yeah, we compromise.
Yeah. We didn't want to like, if a haunted house is telling you they didn't sacrifice any part of their show to open this year, they are lying.
Or they're unsafe.
Yes, or they're unsafe.
We went to one, I'll leave it unnamed, but I pulled in and we literally just left because, they give you a fucking time slot. Mm-hmm. And we got this time slot and I was like, all right, dope. Like I'll go to this time slot. Castle Blood was fantastic because I took my mother and my mother-in-law, or no, not my mother-in-law this year, but I took my mother and she's a freak about this stuff, which she should be. She's worried about, the COVID and everything like that. And I was like, it'll be time slot. Like they do, everything's going to be safety. It's going to be great. And it was like, I felt very safe there. Everyone had masks on, everything. This other place that we went to was ridiculous. Me and my wife bought 2 tickets, $25 a piece, went there with a time slot. I just thought that maybe there would be some sort of like, if I got a time slot at 9:30, maybe I'll go there before 10 o'clock. But the line was, there had to be 200 people in line.
They just oversold their show. Probably. I
show.
don't know their business, but
no, I get it. But it's like, it was blatant to see that. Oversold their show. No one was wearing masks. There was no sort of like, nothing like that. And it's just, I don't know. I get some places are going to just do shit and just kind of make it happen and whatever. Who am I to critique it? But it was just like, small things like, why even have a time slot? You know what I mean? Why even do a time slot like that? This place was, if there was 100 people for this time slot, there was 700 people that got sold tickets for that. And it'll be interesting.
It's hard because like as a business, you don't want to turn away business.
And
but at the same time, everybody's turning away business right now.
I get that. And that's why like, you could respect decisions that like you guys did at Hundred Acres Manor because it's like, I would have much rather been told, it's sold out tonight rather than piss away $50
right.
and not even be able to go because I knew that I would have just had to wait there for hours. So I just chalked it up to, let's keep it going another year. Next year we'll come back and it'll be cool. And it's understandable. And for people that are like, butthurt about it, it's like, you just got to deal with it. It's
Right.
like no one expected any of this shit.
Right.
And obviously you guys are dealing with a
Everybody's
lot more.
doing the best they can right now.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's doing the best they can. So it's like I'm not one of them people that just goes on and like leaves a shitty Yelp review because I know that it's like
I know.
it's terrible. It's terrible. But besides the
They're
point. Okay, so what are your goals as a actor, special effects? What's your official title?
Official title is probably production manager.
Now, for you to try to, let's say the same shit is going to happen next year. Everyone got to wear masks. Everyone got to do all this shit. It's like, what are your goals as far as like, trying to, come up with things? I mean, I guess that's a dumb question because, it's the same goals you have every year.
Right.
I
mean, every year we want to innovate, we want to elaborate, we want to do something different than what we did before. I think what I look for year to year, regardless COVID or not, is like I just said, like, how can I take what we did last year and make it better?
Good.
Whether it's more people, whether it's changing it up a little bit, like our Lights Out event. Have you ever done one of those?
I did something like it.
It will scare the shit out of you. Anybody that does a Lights Out event, it's already the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I remember last year whenever I went there, I remember reading it, and I won tickets to the Scare House. We won tickets to the basement, and
Basement's wild.
it was wild. It was wild.
Wild.
It was definitely something that
I had so much fun when I did it.
I definitely did not expect. I did not expect that, but
And like I like am friends with some of the people that work in the basement because we all have this like little community.
Yeah, I'm
like,
sure that-
haunt love. My one friend Christine Mancini, she's working at Scare House this year, and sometimes she's in the line and she wears our Halloween Never Dies t-shirts.
That's
every
great.
single time she wears the shirts that are benefiting our charities at the Scare House.
yeah, I
As
mean,
a worker there, I'm like that's the community that needs to be created. That's like what we need right now.
Well, I feel like that there's no. I mean,
but they're wild in that basement.
technically, you guys are in competition, but it's like someone who loves haunted houses.
We're different.
They're not going to
We're
choose
doing
one
different
over
things.
the other. Yeah, it's not
they're
like
going to go to both.
Same thing. I go to both every year. It's like because I want to experience them all because nothing
Yeah.
is the same at all. But the basement was fucked up.
Yeah.
They had
And they'll
SWAT.
come and what?
They had SWAT down there, and the guy, and you had to like sign all this shit, and they're like, like if you touch any of them, you'll be arrested. And I was like, what? Like this is crazy. And then they were like, they're definitely going to touch you,
Right.
And the first thing that you walk in there was a dark hallway, and I just hear someone running down, and someone fucking grabbed me by the throat and pushed me against a wall, and I'm
Yep.
like, didn't expect any of this,
Right.
But it's cool. I love to see all the different shit from all the different places.
Yeah.
It's fun, and it's fun to see everyone trying to just make it better every single year, and it's cool to like see that it's still 16 years you guys have been going on.
Yeah. So this would have been our 17th season.
Like it's crazy. It's a long time.
Yeah.
All right. So the ending segment. I know you got to get out of here. The
No, you're fine.
ending segment that I do with all the guests in the podcast is called Desert Island Questions.
Everybody gather up, please. I think this is a perfect opportunity for all of us to participate in some really intense, psychologically revealing conversations. So we're going to be playing Desert Island. Desert Island. Desert Island.
Desert Island Questions, where I give each of my guests 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to exhaust until they die of starvation. So the first category is 3 things to watch on a desert island. So you get to pick 3 movies.
3 movies.
3 movies. You get 3 DVDs and just a little DVD player, and you can watch them for the rest of your life.
Okay. All right. So I'm definitely bringing Beetlejuice.
Okay.
All-time favorite movie.
Yeah.
Probably. Oh, I'm pressured. I'm like blanking on every movie that I've ever watched in my entire life.
That's why I ask them.
So Beetlejuice. It's another favorite movie. Oh, Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, it's so good. We watched it already.
You have?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet this season.
That's all right.
I always wait till Halloween night to watch it. But yeah, Beetlejuice, Hocus Pocus, and probably The Devil's Rejects.
Oh, I love
It's just a classic to me.
Rob Zombie movies.
Yes.
I did not like the second remake of Halloween with the white horses, but I love the first
It got
one.
weird, but it was still good. I
It was
definitely was
weird.
watching it like, what the fuck is going on?
I'll be honest, only movie I've ever walked out of in my entire life.
Oh, really?
I was just like, I don't get it. And it was too much, but I loved House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. Those I got put onto them real late.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Real late in life, and then I watched them and I was like, this is fucking crazy, but it's good. I saw what's the other one that he just Lords of Salem?
Lords of Salem was another weird one.
That was a good one too. It was weird,
it was
though.
good. It was real
A lot of
good,
good
but by
ones.
the end of it, I was like, oh.
Now, do you read it all?
Sometimes.
Okay, so I want to change this question. I usually ask people 3 books to take with them, but I want to know three of your favorite. Do you have a favorite like Christmas horror movies?
Oh. Favorite Christmas horror movie?
Yeah,
I don't know if I've seen a lot of them.
Christmas horror movies.
I mean, Krampus.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Krampus. That movie's just so campy and so fun.
I thought it was. I thought it was going to be. From the previews, I was like, "This is not going to be good." You
Yeah,
know, Adam
right.
Scott's whatever, and then I watched it and I was like, "This might surpass Gremlins for me."
Yeah.
I have Gremlins tattooed all over my legs.
Oh, no way.
I love it, and I love Krampus so much more. Is it Krampus or how do you say it?
Krampus.
Krampus? I never knew.
Probably Krampus. That sounds more like.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, that one, Nightmare Before Christmas, because you have to.
Yeah.
To me, that's a Christmas movie. That's not a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
So
use
everybody's
it
always like, do you like Jack? And I'm like, yeah, not right now, though.
I use an excuse for both. I watch it Halloween and Christmas.
And then, I don't know. I don't think I've seen any other, like, Christmas horror movies.
Yeah, the only one is like there's a bunch of random ones, but
Yeah. It's like-
Gremlins.
yeah.
Okay, so third category is 3 things to listen to. So you get to pick 3 CDs.
Oh, shit. Okay, so The Act from The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay.
From the moment that came out, that's all I've listened to.
Yeah.
That one. Oh, Chiodos, All's Well That Ends Well.
Oh, I just answered it on. Someone asked me today on one of them, like, ask me anything questions. They said, "What's your favorite metal album?" And I said, "That's probably my favorite album of all time."
Yeah. And then they used, I can't remember what the album's called. The one with,
I Caught Fire.
yeah. Is that what the album's called?
No,
Maybe,
it's
I don't know.
it's Why can't I? It's not.
I can see the album
Waste
cover
of
with the
Ink.
tree and the heart.
Yeah, the heart. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third to last question is the death row meal. So you get to pick whatever you want to eat from wherever you want, as many things as you would like to eat.
Oh, shit. I've never really thought about that.
You ever read them weird articles?
Yes,
Yeah.
of what people actually choose.
Yeah, super interesting.
The one guy got something and never finished it. He
I know.
didn't take a single bite.
It's weird.
And they were like, all right, fuck you.
Yeah.
If I had to pick my last meal, I would say probably like Italian cheese dunkers from the high school cafeteria.
Oh, wow.
Like for sure. Those
Yeah.
were always bomb.
That's a really good pick.
You remember those?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember them.
Those, probably a chocolate pudding cup and a Capri Sun for sure.
All
Maybe
right.
2 or 3 Capri Suns.
Yeah, I'll give you a few.
If I'm going out, I'm probably going to like,
I'll give you a 6-pack.
I'm going to get
6
a couple
Capri
sippers.
Suns.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second to last question is actually a Turner's. So I'm sponsored by Turner's Premium Tea.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have a Turner's crate filled with questions that have been incorporated by all the previous guests that have been on there. I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to just give you the question that I'm going to put in there myself. But if you're going to a gas station and you pick one snack, you know, what's your go-to? You walk into a gas station, only one snack you could pick. Doesn't matter if it could be savory, it could be sweet, could be a fucking baked good. What would it be? It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Our group chat, I have a group chat, and I was like, I weighed the odds of do people like fudge rounds more or zebra cakes, and that spawned a whole different, you know, what would your snack be if you could
Yeah.
pick one?
So like if I'm on a road trip and I'm walking in and I need a snack, it's got to be combos.
Yeah,
the cracker
combos.
and cheese ones.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
They're bomb. They're my go-to.
I do. I love a combo.
But I'm
Pizza-
simple and I have anxiety. So if I walk in somewhere
Yeah, it's
and
hard.
somebody's like, pick one thing and one thing only, I'm going to go with
overthink
what's
it.
comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get like creative.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I came up with Cheez-Its. I think I would go
fuck.
Cheez-Its. They're good.
No, I want Cheez-Its too.
Cheez-Its are
Can
good.
I get both?
Both of them. Okay, so
Those duos.
the last question that I ask everyone is, if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. Anyone alive or dead?
Yeah. You could pick a loved one, that's assumed, but
Yeah.
if you could pick someone who's not a loved one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like sitting there like in my feelings immediately. Okay, so if I had to pick anybody that was alive or dead to sit down and have a conversation with, I would probably pick Rick Baker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to sit down and just kick it with him for not even 5 minutes and just be like, tell me as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a good choice. Absolutely.
Just
a
to
good
pick
choice.
his brain.
Well, I appreciate you doing this
Thanks,
with me.
man.
Thanks
Anytime.
for taking
This
the
was
time. Take a second and promote all your pages, where people could find your stuff.
So anything hair and makeup, you're going to find me at Spence X Hair on Instagram. Spence X Scare is all of my haunted house stuff. Yeah. That's pretty much it. And then 100 Acres Manor on all social.
Now, I know that merch is closed down, that you guys were running.
We still have some shirts. So we do have like a surplus of them. They have been printed and shipped out, but shopmortem.com for anything spooky, and then the Halloween Never Dies tag, it will be on there. And then
Now,
proceeds will go. Well, a portion of our proceeds will go to our charities.
Is there any other place that like people could have you guys ever thought of, like, running something where people could buy things to just, kind of donate to the haunted house? Like, is that a thing?
I mean, I don't think the t-shirts were the closest we've ever gotten to that. And then other than that, just like selling tickets. But I mean, if anybody wants to donate, message us. We would. Donations are always accepted, but if
you
not,
love
just
Halloween,
give directly to charities.
If you love the spirit of Halloween, contact them.
Yeah.
Everyone else that's listening, appreciate it as usual. October still here. We got a couple more Halloween episodes. Maybe, I hope. I'm going to try to get some more. But I appreciate everyone listening. Shirts are sold out. Sorry, I'm going to make some more. We're going to have some good Christmas ones coming up. And I appreciate everyone listening. So I'll call you right back.